What's up, metal and heavy music fans? It's Flight of Icarus again with MetalTrenches.com, and today I'm recommending the 6th studio album from New Zealand atmospheric technical death metal band Ulcerate, Stare Into Death and Be Still, via Debemur Morti Productions. But before I do that, if you haven't already, please do subscribe to the channel and stick around after the video, because there's plenty more content for you to enjoy. Now let me start by saying that if you aren't yet familiar, this is another challenging record from a very challenging band. This ain't music for your average Dying Fetus or Beneath the Massacre fan. Ulcerate are much more in the realm of gore guts and artificial brain in terms of offering highly complex and confrontational performances that take time and effort to acclimate to the ears. Hell, when I first discovered them with Vermis, I wasn't even sure I actually liked them, but some strangely magnetic, morbid curiosity had me coming back over and over again until it clicked like a series of brainwashing sessions. And this grower status definitely holds true once again for this new album. Thematically, Stare Into Death and Be Still explores the concept of death reverence, confronting the truism that death and tragedy aren't always sudden or violent, but that people are often passive observers trapped in the silent horror of observing death calmly and cleanly. I actually heard some people complaining back in 2016 that things felt a little too streamlined and mainstream on their Relapse Records effort Shrines of Paralysis. For the record, one that I clearly loved and actually caught them playing live. But this new one almost seems like it's a direct reaction to that, falling even further into the bottomless misery porn pit of Vermis. Similar to the latest Abyssal record, the overall approach feels much more doom-laden and melancholic in practice. True to its title, the Lifeless Advance sets an appropriately suffocating and dreary tone, one devoid of any sense of hope or even a pinprick of light at the end of this deeply demotivating tunnel. Sludgy post-metal guitars give way to largely atonal cascades of tremolo, backed by the usual cold, calculated chaos of drummer Jamie St. Merat. It's a pure soul crusher. As I tweeted out during my first listens, it's the perfect complement to these ugly gray homebound weekends. But I prefer a little more balance between atmosphere and engaging performances, and as such I appreciate compositions like the title track, which brings a lot of shifting dynamics and memorable little guitar hooks amidst the melancholy and technicality to keep the hefty 8-minute plus runtime moving along pretty briskly. And amidst these lengthier odes to sprawling anguish, there are still a few rippers to find, like Exhale the Ash. This one also has its ups and downs, but in a more concise and aggressive package. It's one with an intro that could actually be described as a traditional melody, which is kind of rare on this album, albeit a dark one from a black metal band like Shamash or Deathspell Omega, before pounding the listener into dust with mathy breakneck blast variations and James Wallace's trademark devil-may-care death howls. I'm convinced that it's our own decimated, cremated bodies that make up the titular ash that Ulcerate breathes. But ultimately, overall, expect to invoke the same feeling listening to this as when watching spirit-flattening movies like Requiem for a Dream, Martyrs, or We Need to Talk About Kevin. To the very final notes of Dissolved Orders, it's a grim race to the bottom awash in dense, asphyxiating smoke, shrieking dissonant noise, and harrowing beckoning calls from the other side. I give the album a 9 for enjoyability, although using that term at all in relation to this album feels like a misnomer to me. I give it a 9 for musicianship. It's some impressive stuff well above even my comprehension, though at times I do wish it struck a little more of a balance in terms of differentiation and earworm sensibilities. And I give it an 8 for innovation. It's pretty par for the course in the context for the band's discography, but they still deserve an extra point for pioneering a sound that is generally unlike anyone else out there. Average that out for an 8.7. It's a B+ for Stare Into Death and Be Still, and Ulcerate. Get it again via Debemur Morti Productions. Y'all, thanks as always for watching, and if you do enjoy this style of death metal, you should also check out Noctambulist. They are a killer band out of Colorado with similar sensibilities, and there's even an episode of the Trench Talk podcast you can check out to hear them talk about their debut album. But once again, if you haven't already, please do subscribe to the channel, like the video if you enjoyed it, comment, share it, hop down in the description. You can find links to all of our social media where you can follow us. You can also find the email newsletter that I send out Friday every week to keep you up to date with what's going on at metaltrenches.com. And if you're a returning viewer, you really feel like you're getting added value out of this channel, then by all means, please consider contributing even just $1 a month to our Patreon or Subscribestar. It really makes a difference in helping me cover my overhead costs and also justify the time that I put into this. But that'll do it for this video. Flight of Icarus, signing off. I will see you in the trenches.